Hey, expats and travelers alike. Welcome to Expats Everywhere. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kalie.
And today we have a special live for you guys where we go from north up here in Porto, down south, all the way to Algarve with three of the top creators that are in Portugal all around. So these are the most viewed creators, some of the most viewed creators. Let's bring in our special guests. We have, we have Nick with Algarve Addicts and also Dan and Michelle from Honeymoon Always. So Nick is, by his name, Algarve Addicts, based in Algarve, and he's been there for the past 20 years. Is that right?
22 years. Yeah, I've been here for 22 years. I love it.
Yeah. Amazing.
You must, obviously.
Yeah, to stay there that long. And then Dan and Michelle have been in Lisbon for about a year now, right?
Yeah, just over a year.
Cool. And then Kalie and I are coming up on 2 years since we moved from the United States to Porto, Portugal. Although we've traveled a bit of Portugal now, Porto is where we call home. So I thought it'd be fun if we start out with a little bit of cost of living, and Kalie decided, how about we talk about general cost of living? What do you guys recommend a person should budget or a couple should budget to live in your neck of the woods?
Nick, we'll start with you.
What, to live on a monthly basis?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, it depends on how you're going to live, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose you can get by with 2,000 euros a month. You can get by pretty well down here in the Algarve, but it's such a personal thing, isn't it? Like, how are you going to live, and what are you going to buy? You can go out for an inexpensive meal at a restaurant for $10 a person down here, or $40 a person, or even higher. So it really does depend on what your lifestyle is like.
Yeah. So you think a moderate budget would be around 2,000 a person?
I think so. I think about that. Yeah, without rent though.
And then a couple living together, 4,000, or do you think it's a little lower?
I don't know. What your response to that question up in Porto?
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I guess obviously you're sharing rent, so you can take that out of the equation. But I think up in
it depends
Porto,
on if you're sharing the same bed.
Yeah.
the same place. It doesn't have to be the same bed. It could be the same place. But I think for us, 2,000, I think is totally doable, living comfortably. But again, like you said, it depends on your lifestyle. I think that our budget, when you see our cost of living, is closer to 3,000, but we like our super box. We like to go out. I mean, obviously
3,000 combined.
3,000 for a couple. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually for a family of three, I suppose, because, even though Sia is 2.5, she does eat a lot and demands a lot, and diapers and stuff. But I would say comfortably 3,000 for a family of three. Dan and Michelle down in Lisbon, what do you guys think?
Well, the thing here, it's hard because I know housing prices have even gone up since we started living in our apartment.
That's
We've
right.
lived in our apartment for 6 months or so. But
it's a nice apartment too.
Yeah, I mean the range of apartment prices really makes a big difference here in Lisbon, because I mean you could probably find something like one bedroom in the 1,200 euros a month. But you could easily go up to I have friends that have 2 or 3 bedrooms in the Avenues Novas area, Saldana, where it's 2,400 a month. So it's just such a huge range depending on what you're looking for.
And it's going up a lot right now. The price increase is pretty acute right now. So it's really difficult to say, because we lucked out on our apartment and locked it in at a rate that we feel pretty lucky about.
But I would say for a couple here, you're looking at about, like you guys said, about 3,000 euros a month. So add an extra 1,000 for extra rent in Lisbon. Wow. And then a little bit more because, food and everything's just a little bit more expensive. So I would say for me, I would say 4,500 for a couple.
Okay. That's
and
good
that's without travel. Because you guys know we like to travel a lot. So.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah,
that's
you
your
have
thing.
to add that into the equation. But I think that brings up a good question that a lot of people have been asking recently is, right now it's summer. So things are super hot, it's hard to find a rental at a decent price. So people are wondering if it's going to taper off in the winter. So come November, December, January, do we think the housing prices that are really high right now are going to drop? Dan, Michelle, in Lisbon, what do you think? Is it going to drop?
I don't know about drop, but I do think they'll stabilize. And at sometimes you can actually negotiate your lease, and sometimes you can't at all here. And I think it'll kind of maybe enter in that period where you can negotiate a little more so that maybe the asking price doesn't change, but you can bring them down a little.
And the lack of competition, I think, will ease the market a little bit. So I think right now people are having a really hard time finding places because things just go so quick, and there's wars for apartments. And I do think that will cool. I don't know that prices will necessarily drop, but I think you'll be a little bit easier to find a place in the winter for sure.
And Nick, what do you think in Algarve? How's the winter like for
More
housing?
people will be moving there, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Algarve is so much more seasonal than Lisbon and Porto. There's a radical variance. So you can't even find a place to rent in the middle of summer here. It's all fully booked. So yeah, absolutely, much easier to find a place, much more availability, and the prices will, I think. But also, economically, next year is looking to be set a little bit. It's going to change quite a lot. I mean, obviously, nobody knows what's going to happen, but it looks like things are going to plateau, and especially the house prices seem to be plateauing or looking at plateauing. So that's what people are talking about. You haven't seen any indication of it yet, though. I mean, it's still pretty crazy down here. So yeah,
Porto's the same way.
Yeah,
Porto's not plateauing yet. It's still rising, but we do think. I mean, not just us, but realtors are saying that they believe that there might be a little bit of a cooling, but it's not going to drop. Like nobody's expecting it to drop and prices to come down the way that I think a lot of people are hoping. A lot of people are hoping from the outside looking in, they're hoping for a crash.
Yeah, it's
but
not happening.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Plateauing is really
plateauing is
the
a great
best
word.
way to put it,
A great word to use. Okay, so I'm curious to dive a little deeper in on the cost of living. Let's talk about utilities, because we did just go through a warm period, if you will. We've gone through some heat waves that have hit. Lesser in the north, but I know that Lisbon and Algarve seem to have gotten some pretty hot days. Did you notice a jump in your energy bill?
Well, not for us, because we don't actually use air conditioning that much. Okay, we've got it in, but it has the thing. What takes, if you've got a pool down here in the Algarve, that takes up a lot of energy, and that sucks up a lot of energy. So that does balance out with the costs in the winter. But yeah, air conditioning prices are definitely. Electricity prices are definitely running. Air conditioning is running over time here in summer down in the Algarve.
Okay.
I can say from us, we used to live in Austin, and Austin, as with most of America, the electricity price itself is less, but we use it a lot more in the U.S. And here, the actual cost, per however they measure
per unit, whatever,
is more, but we use it less, even though we are fairly, I would say, a little more liberal with our air conditioning use. So it actually evens out to be about the same as what we were paying in Austin.
Okay.
Do you think it's because for us, we're used to central heating and air, whereas here it's more common to have the units. So maybe you have a unit on in the living room because that's where you're hanging out. And then in the bedroom, it's at night. So it's almost sectional. So it's not the whole house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in Austin, we'd have the whole house is the same temperature, even though you might not go in a bedroom, or at night, you're not in the living room, where here it's based on where we're at in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I track the bills. I don't know if you really do.
Nope.
But
I'm with you, Kalie.
Shopping.
but our water and electricity hasn't changed at all. It's been very stable.
I think it's normally, for us, electric water for the size of our place is 60.
What electric is 50 to 60?
Yeah. And then water is 15.
15 to 20. Yeah. Never over 20.
For what's the size of our apartment?
Our apartment is classified as 73 meters square. I think it's a little smaller, but who's counting? It's a T1 plus 1, so it's a 1 bedroom, and then there's another section that's a bedroom.
Nook. I call it a nook.
A nook, yes, where a bed is sat.
Nick, I guess the bedroom.
Nick, how big is your place?
Well, it's pretty. You've got a 250 square meter, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house actually. So it's quite big to keep that going. So we're spending upwards of about $330 a month on electricity on average throughout the year. So that's a lot more than what is it? What did you say? 60, 70 euros a month in your apartment?
50 to 65.
50 to 60.
Yeah. And then water.
Yeah, so we've got a whole different ballgame. Yeah, a house way more expensive than an apartment. So
it's size.
Size.
Though,
size.
You're heating a lot more.
Sucks. Yeah, sucks a lot of energy. But and also what we do down in the Algarve, and a lot of people won't really realize, is we have fires in the Algarve in winter to keep us warm, and that actually costs quite a lot in wood. You sort of €100 a ton of wood. So that's we use 3 of those during the season as well, during the winter season. So that gets quite expensive too.
It's a nice dry heat though, yeah. Like helps.
Oh, during the summer.
No, the using the wood.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. Yeah, sitting around the fire with a glass of red wine, nothing like it.
Of course.
When are you going to have us over?
Well, you're welcome to come down.
February. Okay, Dan and Michelle, how big is your place? How many square meters?
I think it's just under 200.
Okay. Awesome. And then gym memberships. You guys know about gym membership prices. We actually got a sweet deal on ours. We got a family pass to Homes Place, and there are a variety of Homes Places around the country, but I think mainly in Porto and Lisbon, if not just Porto and Lisbon. I'll have to double check that. One of our Portuguese people can fact check me on that, I'm sure. Unfortunately, you can't cross over from gym to gym. So we have ours at the Baixa one in Porto, and it is 100 for the 3 of us. So it's a family pass.
100 a month.
100 a month.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent. We're able to take Valencia in there, and she has swimming lessons and then child care.
There's a kids club that you can drop kids off at while you work out.
Yeah.
Do you know what it would be if there was just a single person going?
I think it's 50.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
because my daughter goes to gym here in the Algarve, and it's €40 for a month. I don't go because I'm blessed to have a beautiful big valley underneath me, so I walk my dog every day and try and get fit that way and go from a paddle on the water occasionally.
I thought you were going to say you're blessed because you have such a good body, you don't need to work out. Like, it must be nice.
That too, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Of course.
But it's and that's
we haven't done.
No, we haven't looked at a gym membership.
I had my fitness thing, my class.
What was that?
I think it was 50, and it was unlimited classes in the same park, like for the month. So 40 or 50 or something.
Yeah. Okay. And I did like swim. I had like a pool, I guess it would call it pool membership, where I had a swim class once a week, and that was like €24 a month.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool. It was like a group of us swimming, improving our strokes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And I went to Barre Pilates. Sorry, Katie.
Bar? I love bar.
But I didn't realize that it was actually like a whole ballet thing. So I went along, and it was just all girls.
Joke. How did you feel?
It's no joke, yeah. No, it was intense. It really was intense. I couldn't walk for a week. But that was
no joke. It'll surprise you.
But that was quite expensive. Actually, it was quite exclusive. I think it was €30 for one session, which was quite a lot.
That's very surprising.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was just going to say that we ended up getting ours on a deal. I think that, we were coming out of COVID and they were looking for people.
Yeah.
So even like when we got ours, we were telling some friends about it. And even 2 months later, theirs was, I think for 2, it was like 125. So,
no.
I think so.
Really?
I thought so. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to double check that. I don't think it was
well,
that
but
much.
I think
that's
for the 2 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, like 125 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. So it kind of fluctuates. If you can catch them on a deal, it's good. So it'll be interesting because in a few months we'll be coming up on like our year's done. So I'll be curious, like, hey, can we get the same deal?
No, I think we might be grandfathered in.
I hope so.
I think so.
Because then we're good.
Normally they don't. Yeah, they don't raise it on you. We'll
see. Find out. We'll let you guys know how that goes.
I'll tell you what. If it's 125
for the family,
we might be out.
I don't know.
Too budget conscientious.
Still working
for that.
on the swimming lessons. It's going well, but she'll need some more pool time. Okay.
We got a super chat.
I think Josh put that anyone who wants questions or has questions, put them in the chat, and we have a super chat from Craig Carter.
Craig Carter, good name.
I assume that you're watching the euro exchange rate versus the dollar. Sounds like further drops this winter. Any thoughts? Ooh. Good question.
I mean, let's get our crystal ball out. There has been people talking about how it's going to continue to get worse, mainly because the euro across the European zone is getting weaker economically.
Worse for the euro.
Yeah. It's not necessarily because anything positive is happening with the dollar. It's that things are happening worse for the euro. I don't know. I think honestly right now, and you guys tell me, I think I'm pretty happy at 1-to-1. I mean, if it gets better, great. But if it stays at 1-to-1 for the foreseeable future, I'm very, very happy with that.
It's been a while since it's been like that. So we're like,
Thanks
okay.
for the question, Craig.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Dan and Michelle?
When we came here, we moved here, it was like 80 cents for €1.
Yeah.
And so I just keep my plans as if it's going to be that.
Yeah.
And then anything above that makes me happy. So like right now it's like, oh, this is great.
20%
But,
raise.
You're very happy then, huh?
yeah, but I just keep my expectations low, so that way if it drops again, then it's still like fine.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we haven't changed our spending because we have more money.
Yeah.
No.
Because it fluctuates, right? There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. So right now it's good for us, but we don't know if it's going to drop back down to that 80. So there's no point. I mean, with that, when you look over a long period of time, then it ends up being consistent, right? Because we're not really sure what's going to look like in the next few years anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So
Nick, I guess Nick.
I don't know if Nick's
No,
on
I'm
the
not.
dollar. You're on
Fine,
the euro.
you could pass me on this one.
All right. Yeah, you're on the euro. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the rand.
The rands.
So I've got a question. The first question actually that popped up in the chat was, how about Nazaré area? What do you guys know about rents or properties in Nazaré? Anything that you can kind of
You're going to
throw
save
out?
money there definitely from compared to Lisbon.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember it's been too long since I've looked, to be honest, but I think it's probably even a little bit cheaper than Porto as well.
Yep. That's
Makes
what
sense.
I know.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Nick.
Makes sense. No, it makes sense. I mean, it's a lovely place to live as well. It makes sense. But to be honest, I don't know much about Nazaré, although I am planning a trip up there pretty soon. So could be exciting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's a bit more seasonal too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking in the summer, it's probably going to be higher, but if you're looking in the winter, it's going to be lower just because of how the tourism fluctuates there.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing about landlords requiring 6 months plus rent upfront as like that guarantor in lieu of a guarantor, maybe? You guys seeing it?
Yeah, that seems to be what we're hearing from people, particularly in Lisbon, because there's so much competition, especially in the summer. We're seeing a lot of people have a lot of frustrating experiences, and the 6 months up front seems to be one of those kind of shocks that people are having about, do I really have to do this?
Yep.
But it does seem
A
to
lot
be
of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking
That's
about
crazy.
Lisbon rent.
Yeah. I mean, with us, it used to be, or I guess the standard in Lisbon used to be 2 months deposit and then 2 months of rent. And now people are asking for closer to 6 months up front sometimes.
Nick?
Yeah, that sounds crazy. I mean, I've always just heard of 3 to 4 months. I was like, wow, 6 months sounds crazy. Have you heard of any stories any worse than that?
No,
No.
that's the worst I've heard. Anything else? I mean, you can negotiate this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be. I like my 2 month deposit and then 2 month rent thing, but I'm also not looking for apartment right now, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of negotiate it because obviously right now, like, things are flying. So there's people out there paying the 6 months and not even asking questions.
Mhm.
One thing that we're seeing in Porto is it went from 1 month. They were asking 1 month deposit, and then you pay first and last month's rent, and then it jumped to 2 to 3 really quickly.
I think 4 months is a bit more standard in
Four
Porto.
months is becoming more standard.
Yeah, 6 months is a bit much.
In lieu of a guarantor.
Yeah.
A lot of places will take 1 or 2 months as long as you have a guarantor. And
But
then
if you
you're
don't,
all right.
I think 4 months. We haven't been hearing much about 6 months here. I think it's a bit extreme. And honestly, like, if you're not comfortable paying 6 months, then just move on. I think that you can find people who are okay with 4 months. I think is a bit more of the standard, at least here in Porto. It's probably tougher in Lisbon, though. I mean,
Let's jump to the next question here. We have a question from Gerald. Speaking of heat, as we were talking about heat and electricity bills earlier, how worried are you guys about the continuing drought conditions in Portugal?
Yeah, I get a lot of questions about this as well, and especially down here in the Algarve because it's a lot drier down here.
Yeah.
And I mean, what can we say? I mean, the government is doing something about it. They are putting in drought restrictions or water restrictions occasionally down here in the Algarve, just on public water. There's nothing actually going into homes yet. Like where I'm from in Cape Town, in South Africa, we were one of the first cities in the world to almost run out of water completely. We were like 28. Yeah, it was 28 days to go before they were going to turn off all the taps and everyone had to walk down to a central tap, which is quite crazy. But nothing like that's happening in the Algarve yet as well. There aren't any restrictions on washing your cars or gardening water, which I think there should be. to be honest. And there's been talk about a desalination plant coming in. So I don't know. I think if it doesn't rain one winter, obviously, then we're going to be a lot of trouble. But at the moment, it's not that critical right now. I think it's time to take precautions there.
Okay.
In Lisbon, what are you seeing?
I mean, we don't see anything. And I mean, the question was like, do we worry about it? And I can only really control my personal consumption. So like, I can't worry about it. What am I going to do?
Yeah, it's also super relative because we come from Texas, where the problems were not only much more acute, but we were much more in tune with the news and the kind of glaring concern that comes through that. And we're not as connected to that here. So, but like Nick said, Nick was talking about, like people watering their lawns and stuff. Like we're in Lisbon where like no one has a lawn. So
that's right.
Yeah. But same in Porto, like on a day-to-day basis, like you don't see any worries about it. I know that there have been, the fires and everything. And we had, I think maybe 1 or 2 days where you could actually like we opened the window and it was like, whoa, you could actually smell something.
There was a bit of a haze.
But up in Porto, it really, that the fires and everything have not been that bad. I know that, speaking with people down in Lisbon, it seems like it's been a little worse, or there's been some travel on train that's been a problem, like stalled out from Lisbon to Porto, that people, the fires have gotten a little too close to the train tracks. So they've had to stop the trains to make sure they can kind of fight it back. But I would say like just a day-to-day feeling, if you didn't turn on the news, you would never know it was there, I would say, here in Porto.
For sure. We have a quick question for you, Nick. Do you have central air?
Is that air conditioning? Sorry, not familiar with the term.
Yeah.
No, we have it in a couple of rooms, but that's it. We don't have it all the way throughout the house at all. No, and just generally in my wife's office.
And a shout out to you, even though you're married. Raul's married too. It's okay.
She's allowed to say that. People are married.
Handsome.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Eric pays $60 for single memberships at Home's Place.
So for the two of them, that's
Eric, that's 120, not 125.
Sorry, I said 125. Oh my goodness. My bad. I was thinking of you guys as a couple. The two of you would be 125. Sorry, 120.
Joel's saying that they have a one-person membership at Fitness Hut. Don't be confusing that with Pizza Hut for 32 euros.
Big difference.
Lisboa.
If you could have a 32 a month membership,
I'd be
Pizza
big.
Hut.
I need a gym membership.
It would be
for sure.
Okay, well,
that's a nice comment right here, and then we'll get to that. You want to read it? Go on.
No, I don't. Dan, go for it. You're Portuguese.
Obrigada for having this trifecta of YouTubers.
Oh, I love that.
Trifecta.
Well, while you're looking for a question, I guess let's talk about Portuguese. Nick, curious, what is the level of Portuguese that is needed
after 22 years
down in Algarve? No, I mean not.
In the Algarve.
Forward,
just zero. You don't need any Portuguese down here in the Algarve. Everyone speaks English. It's incredible. It's sometimes you see people battling to try and speak Portuguese, like an old German lady be like sort of really battling, and the guy behind the counter is just like, dude, let's speak English. You know what I mean? Please. It's so much easier. So. Yeah, I mean, I can speak Portuguese and it's great fun. I love it. But I'm not super fluent. And when we get into political conversations, I kind of like bow out. But you don't really need it. You really don't.
All right. Dan and Michelle, how about in Lisbon?
It's fairly similar. You definitely can get by without speaking Portuguese. I do speak Portuguese, and it definitely has helped in a couple situations and made a couple things go a little smoother. But same thing is like you can get by, and the majority of our friends are struggling to learn Portuguese, and we commiserate with them and understand, yes, it's hard, but they're all getting by.
Yeah, I'll say as the person who's still learning Portuguese, for me, I can get by in 99% of situations. I feel pretty comfortable with my the amount that I know and understand and can speak. Nick has a big fan over here and I love it.
His daughter. Come on.
Hi, Izzy. Yeah, it's my daughter. She's in the other room.
That's great.
Oh, what a sweetheart. Izzy, get your face on camera. Let's go. Get over here.
Yeah, come on in. But I will say there are some circumstances that have been harder to navigate. Medical usually is like going to the doctor, particularly because like Dan can't, like you, in most cases, if there's a problem, he can vouch for me because he can speak fluent Portuguese. But if we get into a circumstance that's like particular to like medical stuff. Like he doesn't, you know,
I didn't learn the parts of the
that.
body.
And like
Yes.
most,
Not
like
common talk out
Yeah,
on the streets.
even
Yeah.
like pharmacists don't often know the English words for like parts of bodies or whatever. So even like having a conversation with a pharmacist for me has been where things get clunky. And like, you know, I'll try to bring out like Google Translate or whatever, which of course is Brazilian Portuguese. So it's like not perfect. And then anyway, so there have been some mix-ups. So I will say there were like a couple of things that are like uncomfortable if you don't speak Portuguese.
So is it mainly you think medical and maybe some bureaucratic type things like
Yeah,
technical?
and also utilities. The one, like I remember when we first moved here, I had to call the internet, and they didn't speak English. I mean, they didn't speak English, and that gave me a headache because like it's hard. It was hard when we had to wear masks, and like covering the faces was hard, and then over the phone is really the hardest to understand. So those are like utilities, or any like you need electrician, stuff like that. They may not speak English.
Well, we got really lucky that the property manager went with us to help us turn on our utilities, which doesn't always happen, but she was just like out of the goodness of her heart, came with us to the center to do it. And so we got some like native help with that, which was really great.
Yeah, which I think is kind of the same in Porto too, compared to Lisbon. I mean, I think you kind of get your, you can mainly get by with English, but there will be some, maybe if you go to like a mom and pop place, it's a little harder with Portuguese, but they're so accommodating and wanting to help you, even if you don't speak Portuguese. So, but the bureaucratic and maybe medical would be two things that are tough in Porto as well. But Josh has been like poking me like, look, I've got this on the screen.
Shout out for Jack Ocean.
Thank you so much.
Jack, thanks for the support. We appreciate it.
Yeah, but we can't just let them talk about Algarve and Lisbon and not mention Porto, of course, because it's supposed to be all of Portugal. So,
I wanted to ask you guys, since I've got you here and you know, we're talking about this. Have you been to a place in Portugal where you felt like, man, I really needed my Portuguese?
Yep.
Tell me. Let's hear it.
Well, we're paddling down the Nazaré River about in 2016, like, you know, right in Pedrógão Grande. I don't know if you know where that is, like Tomar around there, right in the center. And we paddled up to this old village, and there's literally 3-4 people in the village, and they didn't speak a word of English, obviously. And they didn't even have a store in the whole village. And this van came up and opened up, and there's all this meat and cheese and bread and stuff in the van. It's obviously like a traveling store that goes from village to village to village in these really remote places. But yeah, on that trip, we definitely needed Portuguese. No one spoke English in the middle of the country.
Okay. That's good to know, yeah.
I think that's a great example. Like if it's in the middle of nowhere, they may not. If they don't get a lot of tourists, they're probably not going to speak much English.
Well, I think
I'm going to be honest. I kind of like it. It's fun.
Oh, no, it's great.
Sure. Yeah.
It's fun.
Going in there.
Just giving it a go. Like it's a lot of fun. Just trying to communicate.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. How's your Portuguese? You've been here 2 years, right? Have you guys been doing quite a lot of work with Liz and other people?
Unfortunately, we've not been doing quite a lot of work.
We have a toddler.
We got, I got really thrown out of routine this past trip we went on. Like I was good every day, like 30 minutes, because that's all I can manage. That's all I can kind of section off of my schedule. It's about 30 minutes. But I was doing really well up until at the beginning of last month. Then we started traveling, and I have not restarted. So it's been like a month since I've taken dedicated classes. Is Izzy sliding in here?
Isabella, is that you?
Yeah.
Come on in. Yeah. Come on in. Come on in.
Okay.
During the conversation.
What's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my daughter, Isabella. Yeah.
I can't hear, but.
Oh, you can't hear. You have to go.
Take the headphones.
You're gonna have to sit very close now. Yeah.
Audience, bear with us as we bring Izzy in here. So we're covering some age.
So she speaks perfect Portuguese. She's 100%. She is Portuguese. She's born here, so she's 100% fluent. So
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I should come or not, but
no,
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Nice.
That's great.
great to have you.
Well, just for
Thank you.
With Portuguese lessons, I think for us, we traveled, and then there was this like point where we're like, okay, our daughter is supposed to be starting school in September, so once she gets going, then we'll start getting into a routine of work and Portuguese and working out, like all these things that kind of over the past, like the summer, have been falling a bit at the wayside, I guess you could say. So we haven't been able to get too much into a routine because Valencia started school on Thursday. We thought it would go well because like at the gym we go to, we've got kids club and she drops off there, no problems. But this, I think, is a whole new like newness, and it's a bit overwhelming for her. So we're kind of in the adaptation period where she goes for like an hour the first day and then a couple hours the next day. And so we're not even in a routine just yet because we're trying to ease her into what this is going to look like and the newness of new teachers and kids and school and everything. So the hope is like in the next couple of weeks when she gets comfortable with this new routine that we can get into a routine of all of these things. And then definitely we'll be back to a daily routine of studying Portuguese. We've been doing it online. We've been doing Portuguese with Carla, which has been great. They've got something called The Journey. And anyone who's interested in that type of learning, because everyone learns differently. Some people, you want to be in-person classes. We just don't have that luxury right now with the stage of life that we're in with the toddler. But so we have to be very intentional about doing our courses online, which is fine, but we haven't been intentional. So the hope is that when Sia gets into a routine, we can get that as part of like our routine. Michelle, what are you doing for studying?
Nothing.
Dan. Help me, Dan.
No, I was taking classes, and then I was working with Liz from Talk the Streets, whom I love and 100% recommend. But we travel a lot. We were traveling for almost 4 months straight. We've been home for 2 months trying to get all our work in until we leave for our next big trip next week. So we're just not as similar. We're not home enough to have a routine, and I know that I'm not disciplined enough to do online learning at this point. So I feel lucky that I have Dan to help me through anything difficult. But also, I mean, there are moments in Lisbon where like I went to a cobbler to get my shoes fixed, and the guy spoke zero English, and I had the most fun figuring out how to ask him to like put the grippy stuff on the bottom of my shoe because the streets are slick here. So I felt very successful afterwards. But other than those like day-to-day interactions, doing nothing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, wait, I want to circle back to the shoe thing because that's a big question, but let's go ahead and do you have something else?
I think we could bring you two on for your own live chat and talk about
shoes.
shoes.
I know. I get this question a lot.
And,
Michelle, I'm sure you do.
and Izzy, dead serious, if you want to join like the ladies chat, ladies in the audience, if you all want to have like an all ladies chat, Expats Everywhere chat, let us know in the comment section. We will do it. Dead serious.
Okay,
I'm not whining anyone. Like, we need to get to this super chat.
Well, but real quick,
not real quick.
Which one's going to happen first? This will happen first. Okay, so Michelle, this is really important because a lot of people ask me about shoes. Yes. So you can go to a cobbler and you can get sticky stuff put on the bottom of your shoes to help you explain, because a lot of people have questions about they're worried about the calçada and everything. So
you could just save it for the next one.
We'll just quickly, Michelle,
tune in for the answer.
I do have very strong feelings about this. So there are cobblestone streets. Lisbon is very hilly. Porto is very hilly, and it's even rainier in Porto. So wearing supported shoes that have ankle support and have a grip enough on the bottom, anyway, I'm very particular about the shoes that I wear because I don't want to roll an ankle, which I've already done. So I went to a cobbler to fix the soles of some boots that I have, and he added some extra rubber to the bottom to add some grip to it, so you can take care of
thing you can do.
Yeah,
thing you can do.
Also, like, how much was it, Michelle? Do you remember?
Oh, maybe 40 euros to fix the shoes and add the things to the bottom.
Okay.
Which I don't remember. It might have been 25, might have been 40. Somewhere in between.
It's super reasonable.
And did they do your shoes as well?
Yeah, I just wear tennis shoes and wear them till I can't wear them anymore.
I'm on my third pair of shoes here in 2 years. I mean, I wear them out quickly.
Yeah. You go through them. Yeah.
Hey, stop talking about shoes.
Okay, sorry. That's for the next live stream. Okay, so we have this comment, and it's actually part of 2. So I'm going to pop this up. Well, I've already popped this up. So advice on single-family houses. Now, hold on.
Similar to US.
And then kind of generic in each of your areas. So we'll talk about where single-family houses are in Porto, in Lisbon, like the neighborhoods, and in Algarve. Algarve Addicts, you all can start first if you'd like.
Similar to US.
Well, so we're looking at similar to the US. I mean, like a sort of gated community kind of thing, like a 3-bedroom house.
Not gated necessarily, but
it doesn't
more
have to be gated, but like a neighborhood where you have houses,
maybe a bit of yard. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's quite a few, what do you call urbanizações around here, like urbanizations around. So in every sort of, but the largest ones and probably the most expensive ones are down near Valdelobo, Quinta do Lago around there, which is really expensive. And I think that's the kind of look and feel you'd get. Vila Moura actually is probably a better example. You guys have been down to Vila Moura, have you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So around Vila Moura, there's definitely that kind of feel. And
I guess I have. I
also-
have a toddler, guys. Answer for
Okay.
everything.
so yeah, it's generally that area, I guess. You're not going to be finding those kind of communities all over the place, but you can find smaller versions of those in each town across the Algarve for sure.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. Villa Mora, that's a good shout, and we've definitely been there.
Yeah, it's very it's almost manicured because it was a created resort back in the 70s. And it's not like a traditional Portuguese village, which has grown up with an old town and a new town. It was just placed there and was planned from the get-go to be like an American-style resort, and it's kept its going on. So yeah, it's actually really easy to get around Villa Mora, but it doesn't have as much character as an old Portuguese village would have.
100%.
Mhm.
Do you like it?
Villa Mora, yeah, it's easy to get around. It's great. I always get on there for a surf. It's fantastic in winter.
Do you need a car there?
You do, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not really walkable, Villa Mora. It's quite large distances. You got to get around the marina. Why are you smiling, Dan? You like that term, walkable?
Yeah, I just know every time we get together, it comes up.
Walkable. I love it. Everyone likes to walkable.
Dan and Michelle, what are some neighborhoods that you all see in Lisbon that are ones that you would find the houses in?
I would say so there's kind of two sides. If you're looking for an apartment or a condo, kind of like what you'd see in the US, then just anything newer. And then if you're looking for like a home with like a yard or something, you're looking at Oeiras or over to like Estoril and Cascais.
Mm.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't seen anything that looks sort of American-ish within the walkable area of Lisbon. My expectation is that, I don't know for sure, but my expectation would be that anywhere that would be like a more American, you would need a car.
Yep.
So those are not places I usually end up because we walk.
But sorry, Michelle, I was just driving down on the south of Lisbon a couple of days ago, like in Almada around there, and much further south as you go down. There's quite a few developments around there now which are very American looking. But they're obviously way far out of Lisbon. Take you like 20 minutes to get to Lisbon.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have a few friends in Estoril who have a great place that feels very American. It's a neighborhood. There's places for dogs and stuff. Like it's really great. But again, that's like 30 minutes outside of Lisbon.
Yeah.
Like that.
And people that are dropping super chats, we appreciate it so much. We will get to them as soon as we can. Go ahead,
I would
Kalie.
just say Boa Vista is the main place here. But again, it's connected by mainly bus. It's not super connected by metro. So some of those places, it just is more accommodating to have a car there because you are a little bit out and you've got more of a gate and a yard and everything. So kind of same thing, but I think since Porto is much smaller than Lisbon, then it's still more connected to the city, but a little further out of the city as some other neighborhoods, I would say, in Porto. So Boa Vista in Porto.
Yeah, I would have definitely said Boa Vista. You also might find a few in the Foz area, but they're going to be super expensive. And then there's a strip that is more towards the east, past to the east of Marques, to the east of Cambatanch, heading towards the Dragão. But those are even more like what we would call duplexes in the US, where you have one roof, a center wall dividing it, and then a unit on the left and right, but a yard is like surrounding it, and you'll have an entrance for both sides. Not so much single family housing, but it's similar enough.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling here. We've got some awesome super things going on. Some super sticker. Thank you so much, Nico. We really appreciate the channel support.
Okay, Craig, with another one. If Porto, Lisbon, and the more populated cities in the Algarve were excluded,
what a brilliant question.
Where in Portugal would you guys settle down?
Okay, so we can't answer any of these three places. Let's start with Izzy. You haven't said anything, putting you on the spot. Come on.
Well, I feel like we live in a very small place. We live in São Brás do Portel in the Algarve, which is a very small town. It's not even considered a city, which has about 10,000 people, I believe.
Yep.
So that's where we settled down. That's, I think,
but if you
our
weren't,
answer.
If you weren't allowed to live in any city in the Algarve, in Porto or Lisbon,
sorry, I got the question wrong. I think I'd go probably around more the center of the country because I really do like the Alentejo, but it gets very hot.
Yeah.
And it's very deserted almost. There's not much going on in the Alentejo. So I think I'd go like between Porto and Lisbon, somewhere there.
Like
Not a,
Coimbra, maybe.
yeah, or like Aveiro, but Aveiro's pretty big.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure.
Great.
Okay. You have your eye on any universities?
Yes, but not necessarily in Portugal, so I'm not
Fair
sure.
enough. Okay. Fair enough. Dan and Michelle?
My answer is that I wouldn't live anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
I'm a city person. I
Yep.
like the amenities of a city. I like the walkability of a city. So if my choice was you can't live in the city, then I'd go somewhere else where I could live in the city.
Yeah.
Is Porto a city enough for you?
Honestly, I personally wouldn't at this point now move to Porto.
Would not.
Would not.
Okay.
I
Too
would.
small? Or-
Yeah, at this point now, when we first visited, I mean, it's charming and it's beautiful, and honestly, I think it's an easier place to land. But for me, I'm realizing like I just love a big city, and I love that there's all the discoverability of the big city, and the influx of people, and the multiculturalism. And for me, Lisbon is the place in Portugal that I want to be. So for me, Porto is a little bit small, but
Yep.
it is lovely. I wouldn't be unhappy there. I just wouldn't.
You wouldn't choose it.
Yeah.
Yep. Dan?
My only answer would be just a bit of a cheat because I'd go to Costa Caparica,
Yeah, well.
which is still a quick ride back into Lisbon.
Yeah.
And easier for you to hit the surf.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kaylee?
Yeah.
You didn't get Nick. Get Nick.
I'm gonna bounce back.
Yeah, I
to
didn't get it. Izzy stole my
Sorry.
turn.
I'm gonna bounce back. I'm gonna bounce back to you.
For me, it would be Braga, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Okay.
mean, which I know is in the north.
I'm not going with you. I'm totally kidding.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
go.
Go
first.
to different places. Braga is still small, though. I mean, and we really like Braga, but for us, like people say, well, why didn't you move to Braga? For us, it's not Porto, and Porto is our place.
I would choose Braga over Lisbon. Yeah.
Yeah, same. And I know it's close too, but Matosinhos, I mean, it's kind of like with Dan, like
it's a
Matosinhos
cheat.
is also a bit
That's
of a
a cheat.
cheat because it's technically a different spot. But
I'm gonna live in Gaia.
yeah, no, not Gaia, Matosinhos.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, those would be mine. Yours?
Oh, we joke, everybody. They're on the metro line, so even though Matosinhos and Gaia are both their own cities, they are on the metro line. So it's a bit of a hack. It's a cheat. It's a cheat answer. I'm gonna say Viana do
I
Castelo.
knew you'd say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even smaller than Braga, but I don't know. It gave me
And further north.
it gave me good vibes.
Yeah, I just don't
Nick.
know during the winter.
I think I would like to go and check out living in Ericeira. I mean that's also a little bit of a cop out, but it's still further enough. It's not really Lisbon, is it?
It's totally
Oh,
different from
it's
Lisbon.
different.
It's totally
I
different.
thought coming here that I would want to go to Ericeira, and we went because I was like, oh, it's cheaper than Lisbon. It's got great surf, and we went there, and I was like, no.
Why? Because it's too small. What does it do?
It's
It was
small.
too
That's,
small,
we're
and
talking
that
about
was-
small places. Yeah.
And it's very, very
Yeah.
windy there. But hey, Nick, I'm happy for you.
No, but it is very windy, and there's a crazy little microclimate going on there in Ericeira. And I've been driving through Lisbon, and on the southeastern side of Lisbon, like Palmela around there, was beautiful day. And you go over the hills into Ericeira, and it's just freezing cold. So yeah, I might have also want to check out Nazaré, but definitely want to be closer to some surf because we're quite far away from surf down where I am. So
I think Braga is a great answer, though. I spent a couple weeks there because I had to, and it was a beautiful city to live in. So yeah.
You want to come up here and kick it with Kaylee in Braga for
We'll
a
go to
couple
Braga,
days?
Yeah.
You guys go shopping?
Yeah.
you can come down and surf with us, and I'll go.
Okay. Super sticker. Thank
Super
you.
sticker.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for the supers. Okay, so I've run out of supers to scroll through, and now I'm trying to go back to questions. How do you guys feel about Coimbra? Coimbra.
Cool city.
It's like for us, it was a stop between Lisbon and Porto.
I thought it was
really
cool.
nice.
Yeah, there was some good food, some good cultural stuff going on. A cool university. It's a good spot.
Yeah, I've got exactly the same experience as you guys. We stopped there for lunch on the way in between Portland and Braga, actually, when Izzy was going up there to study, and down to Lisbon. So it looked like a really lovely place, but I haven't spent much time there. Have you guys spent much time there, Josh and Kalie?
We've been several times, yeah. Well, we spent
2 weeks.
2 weeks
Yeah.
while we were on our project last summer. We got a really good feel for the city, actually. I think the city's a bit divided. It's strange because there's the area, like when you get off the train, that is is flat along the water, and then it kind of juts up the hill. And then once you get to the back side of the hill, there's kind of this new city that has been developed, and they have different feels. There's like a different energy going on.
Old and new, really.
Yeah. But the city as a whole is pretty young because of the universities, the university students.
Young in the sense you mean like the demographic is
The
young,
demographic's
not like
young.
the actual architecture is young, because
Correct.
it's actually very old in that sense.
Very old.
But you get a young feel because of university students, like so the age demographic.
And then what's happening across the river is really different.
Yeah.
You've got a big shopping mall up there. The homes are kind of different in terms of the way that they're spaced out. It's not like apartment living where you're on top of each other. It's a pretty diverse city, town, whatever, for
I
its
think
size.
for us, we enjoyed it, but wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah.
But did you feel because of the young element, there's a lot of partying going on and late night revelry, or did that not factor in at all?
Where we were staying, we didn't have any issues with it, but we were not staying like in the city center.
Yeah, but even still, where we were staying, there were young
was student
people
housing.
in the building, but it wasn't loud or anything. I think people were fairly respectful, especially like in that area, maybe because it wasn't right where all like the bars and stuff were. So
Yeah.
It wasn't too crazy. But I think there are probably parts that do get a little rowdier.
Michelle, did you want to say something?
Oh yeah, why you trip and mentioned Madeira, and I think if like a very close second, if our lives slowed down a little bit, we would live in Madeira in a heartbeat. It's
So that was in response to a place that you would live that wasn't Porto, Lisbon, or Algarve.
Yeah.
It's too isolated right now for like where we're at with business and how often we're kind of hopping around, but it is an unbelievable place. So
It's a cool place. I agree.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Algarve Addicts, we've got a question directly at you.
What's that?
How much
Read
of
it.
the year?
Can we read it so you don't have to?
No,
But
Yeah,
how
I
much
can
of the year is it warm enough to use an outdoor pool in Eastern Algarve?
Well, I'd say, without heating it, you could probably use it for at least 6-7 months for sure. No problem. That's a direct question. Direct answer.
done.
Yeah. But you
I've
could
actually
heat it.
been in.
Is it possible
I've
to heat
been
it
in.
during winter?
Yeah, you can heat it in winter, I guess. People have full covers and things like that. But it'd be quite pricey, I think, to heat it in winter. But there's also an added element of jumping into cold water in the middle of winter. I did. I thought, well, let's try this cold water thing, and it was freaky, but it was cool.
Yeah.
It was
All
cool.
right.
Very healthy.
Kaylee, you know anything about this right here?
Is there any bilingual school around Porto area? It depends on what age you're talking about. There are international schools that will have that element of bilingual, but it depends on what age you're looking for.
Yeah.
Universities are, for the most part, universities are in English because they cater to a lot of the EU students that come in for Erasmus and everything. So a lot of it's in English. But if it's younger, then it really depends. It depends on what age demographic you're looking for. Because there's Montessori schools for the little ones, and they will be bilingual. Depends though.
All right. So is Lisbon like NYC and Porto is more like San Francisco? What do you guys think? Michelle's already shaking her head. No, the answer is no.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Nope.
Lisbon has great weather, and New York City has some great weather, but it also gets very, very cold there.
Yeah, I think it's hard because Lisbon just isn't as metropolitan of a city as many other cities that people would compare it to. So I see we even have another question about if we would compare it to cities in Texas. And to me, Porto gives me a little bit of Seattle vibes sometimes.
Yumiko would agree.
What'd you say?
Yumiko would agree.
But Lisbon, I don't know that I have a city that I like. There are certain parts that remind me a little bit of New York, but in general, it's much smaller than even other major metropolitan European cities. So and maybe new, not as contemporary. It's just kind of getting on its feet as money has been reintroduced to it in the last 10 years. So it's just, to me, it's a very unique city, and I'm not sure that I have a good answer for how it feels. Because also the different neighborhoods are also different, and different pockets of some are like Paris, some are parts of Italy, some are, so it's just very difficult. I'm being unhelpful.
No, you're not. I think the answer is it's not a fair comparison.
can't
Like you said, you
compare.
can't compare it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're trying to like maybe judge climate a little bit, I think we would have to stay in the same state to make a more fair assessment. Like what's kind of like the LA climate
like
versus
Southern California and San Francisco.
San Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that regard, but in terms of like cities,
Weather,
I often
size.
hear San Francisco and Lisbon being compared, I think, because of the bridge, like because of the water element to
And the electric cars as well. I mean, the auto cars, electrical.
Yeah, I guess San Francisco's a comparison one could make that it's probably more comparable than other cities in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just hard though because the feel is different too. I mean, like if you're saying New York, you're thinking about the northeast of the U.S., whereas like Lisbon is a bit more like along the water, the sunshine, the weather. It's just so even there's a lot more like white as well. Like when you get down by the water, right? You've got like buildings or statues that are white, whereas you get into like Manhattan and you've got these massive high rises that are glass, and you don't. That's totally not the feel that you get in Lisbon. So you can't really compare. So it's really hard to say that would be the same feel. I mean, maybe if you're going for size, but it's really hard to compare.
Like I think Portugal's just changing a whole lot. So I think I don't know. Was that Josh saying?
No,
Izzy wants to say something.
No, sorry.
Izzy tried to chime in.
What I was gonna say is also I just feel like Lisbon is so Portuguese that it's hard to compare it to something outside of Portugal.
Yeah.
Because it's so like typical Portuguese, like the calçada and just everything about it is so. It's so unique. It's hard to compare it to something else. Although I've never been to New York, I can't say that it's anything about that. But
you really want to go?
I do. But
It's fair. So
perfect
since
point.
you're the Portuguese sitting here, what makes something Portuguese? Like, what is Portuguese to you?
like, it might sound very typical, but like pastel de nata is so Portuguese, and you find that everywhere. You find that on every corner of the country. I feel like the cobblestones make it really, really Portuguese. If you see like, how do you say it in English? A galu?
A galo.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking.
Yeah, the Portuguese cockerel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty Portuguese. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like there's little things here and there about the culture that I'm just very used to. Like you guys were talking about the shoes and stuff, which is something I never thought about before because I'm just so used to that. So yeah.
But then again, in Lisbon, obviously you got these hell of a hills.
True. Yeah.
But Dan and Michelle, have you ever got the smell of Lisbon? Because there's a song called Cheiro de Lisboa.
Oh, yeah.
The smell of Lisbon, and it's so evocative. A lot of people talk about it a lot. Have you attributed a distinctive smell to Lisbon or not?
I just remember a smell of Olhão.
Oh yeah.
No, there's
That's not the smell of
Talking on
Lisbon.
our Instagram about there's a tunnel next to us that smells a lot like pee. Is that-
And then I think there's a water treatment plant near us, and when it's going, like
It's going.
and we walk by it, it's just like whoa. But
So-
other than that, I
There
don't
is an
really.
element of the smell. And there's like
Smells.
those kind of smells, and then sardines, and then there's like the chicken
Yeah.
and the fish.
Oh,
and
we
then it's
do
all
get
mixed
like
together.
some chicken places when they're
Oh, that's
cooking,
awesome.
or the barbecue
Oh.
places, like when they're cooking, like that smells good. But I don't know. I've lived in a lot of places, and I wouldn't say there's a particular smell. There's just a couple little areas that it's like, okay, there might be some fun going on.
The worst is when you walk by like a chicken place and like, oh, it smells good, and then
And you
keep
take
going
a big
and
breath, and then
and
the
then
next
you're
block,
like, the next
or-
block is where you got the pee smell. You're like, oh no,
the bait and switch.
yeah,
Yeah.
city life.
Oh man.
Sometimes when I get into our building and I smell something nice, I'm like, oh, I hope Josh is cooking in there. And then I open the door and I'm like, oh, it was the neighbor. As in
That is harsh.
he's not cooking, not like what he's cooking doesn't smell good, but he's not cooking. So I'm like, oh, dang, whatever the neighbor is cooking smells really good.
I like this question because I think that you two can chime in on it quite well. So what are your thoughts on living in Cascais? Is it more expensive than Algarve?
Are you asking us?
Well, both. I
Both
think
of
both
you.
of you
both of
guys
us. Sorry,
can chime in.
yeah, absolutely. I think it is more expensive than the Algarve for sure. We've spent quite a lot of time in Cascais as well, actually.
Yeah.
And it is more expensive than the Algarve. But I find that the difference between the Algarve and Cascais is that Algarve has got so much space and you can move around. It's great. But Cascais is lovely, and there's lots of people and lots of business and lots of stuff happening. but it does feel quite, apertado to me.
Yeah, and I feel
Okay.
like the Algarve is a lot more chilled out than Cascais. I feel like Cascais is a bit more prim and proper in a way. Not necessarily, but a little bit. And I feel like the Algarve is so relaxed. Yeah.
I'm curious because you said that you all live in a town of 10,000 people. So you're a bit away from the hot zones in Algarve.
Yeah.
Do you notice, like, in the summertime when there's an influx of tourism, or is it not even a thing for you all because you're in the town?
Not really, because we don't live very close to the beach, which is where everyone goes. We live about 20 minutes from the beach. So we don't really get all the tourists.
Lost Dan and Michelle.
They're obviously getting bored of you, isn't it?
No.
Just kidding. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. We are away from the thing. There's hardly any fluctuation between summer and winter. It's the same amount of traffic. We get a couple more people in summer, but it's nothing like down in Villamora or in Portimao or Lagos, where it just gets tons and tons and tons of people in summer, and hardly anybody in winter.
Your guide looks like
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know. It just
It got caught on Nick saying Cascais over and over again. Even when we shut the computer, it was just like Cascais. So, fine. We're back.
I think you need to auto tune it and make it a YouTube
Oh.
short.
I did record it because I wanted you guys to hear it.
Thanks.
So
Good.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Good. You guys want to kind of pitch what you all do on your channel real quick?
Well, I talk about the Algarve a lot. I do travel around the country, and I do help quite a lot of people moving to the Algarve. We do tours around the Algarve as well, day tours, and I do consultation calls, and we help people find houses and homes to buy.
Awesome. And you ever have Izzy on your channel?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. You're awesome.
She's a fan favorite. Good. That's really good. And Dan and Michelle?
So our main gig is we have a honeymoon travel website, so we help people plan their honeymoons. But on YouTube, we've been just talking about our move to Portugal and living in Lisbon and life in Lisbon. So we have a lot of content about that. But we are about to announce our next big project. I think we'll do it on Monday. So Anyway, we're really excited. So stay tuned to our channel for that.
Okay.
Awesome. You want to pitch what we do?
You got it.
We're expats everywhere, and obviously our channel is a lot about Portugal right now because we have moved here and we've been here for about 2 years. So we're putting out a lot of content about Portugal, but we do have something to announce as well in the next couple of weeks or so about something else that we'll be doing that will be a bit outside of Portugal. So stay tuned to Expats Everywhere for what's coming in the future.
Well, I mean, I can tell you guys, we're launching a second channel. So that's going to happen hopefully at the end of the month. We will have our 10th video ready for that. And then once we have all those videos ready to go, we'll have that second channel blasted out. And it's for living everywhere. I mean, information about living everywhere, because we think it's fun and interesting when you finally get abroad to explore where else you can go, because not everyone moves abroad and finds their forever destination. A lot of people actually move abroad and find that place they've moved to is really good, but there's more to the world than just that place and their home. So they don't go back home, but they go to the next place, which is how we've kind of found our life over the past 13, 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
So,
and even if you're good with Portugal or wherever you are, some of these places you can just kind of see what it looks like. You can go visit and travel. So that's another luxury that you have if you move to a different place and base yourself in a different region, to just go ahead and look and see what the other countries are like. Maybe not to live there permanently or live there at all, but just to go travel. So that's some good stuff.
Yeah. Guys, that feels like a very natural spot to stop. We're almost at an hour. To the audience, to people that have been asking us questions and being so active in the chat, we thank you all so much. I want to thank Nick and Izzy with Algarve Addicts for joining us, and Dan and Michelle with Honeymoon Always. Thank you all so much. Kalie, thank you. Pincho, well done. You didn't make any noise
He's
down
been sitting
there.
on my lap the whole time, and he didn't cough.
We have a tiny Yorkie that is on Kalie's lap
I
right now.
will show him.
If you guys would like us to do something like this again, hit the thumbs up button. It's not because it feeds the algorithm. It's just because it'll give us an indication that it's like a yes, you want us to do it again. So if you hit the thumbs up as you slide out and we get, let's say, like 300 likes on this video, then I'll invite these guys back and we'll do this again sometime soon. If you all don't mind coming back.
We would love to.
We'd love to. That was great. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity. It was wonderful too. And good luck with your new channel and you and obviously Dan and Michelle with your new project. That's exciting news, guys.
You don't even know.
Thank you so much for having me.
We want to know.
Yeah,
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you.
joining.
Thank you for letting me join.
We'll have you on again. All girls chat.
Chat, yeah.
There you go.
Definitely.
Hey.
Let's
All right.
Yeah.
get
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.